So I am sitting here in the bar. Am I not? Have I not got my head in? Is that better? Yeah. Okay, right. So now this is actually my lovely head. I'm sitting in the bar of Mornsfeld Gaming. I just wanted to catch up with tournament organiser and head ref, because in any tournament there's always rules queries that people agree with, they disagree with. There's also certain rulings that the organisers have to take certain stances on certain things, in terms of like painting, in terms of like any possible cheating and things that have gone wrong. So this is my time just to grill these lovely boys about the kind of things that have happened at this weekend. 'Cause it's been quite eventful, hasn't it, guys? Yeah, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was pretty good, to be honest. I mean, we were actually commenting, like, the first couple of rounds, we had very little in the way of rules queries. Round 3 yesterday started heating up, and then this morning, yeah, you know, as people are sort of getting on, or possibly more hungover, yeah, you get more and more queries now.
Now, one of the most interesting ones, from my perspective, Tim, was someone asking, can this cannon shoot over, I think it was some little dwarves and something else? Now, you weren't there at the time, and the guy asked me, and I went, is there a hill in the way? And he went, no. And I went, yeah, you can. You came up, and you said exactly the same thing and just went over, but the guy who did it, the guy who was challenging it, it was not something he knew. What went on there?
I think the problem, in a way, I mean, people know me for more being a 40k person.
Pew pew.
Yeah. We play Warhammer Fantasy, we play Warhammer 40,000, but also we play European Team Challenge rules. And the European Team Challenge have obviously a wider range of players from different countries, different interpretations of rules. And what the ETC comes up with is a standard rule set that may be alien to the local community. And possibly the issue we've got with this tournament is we've got players who are ETC players year on year, they know these rules, but then we've got guys who've never come across ETC. So like the ETC rules, correct me if I'm wrong, they're all simple line of sight, which is where the cannon issue came from. And some guys, I think you put a picture up online, and someone said, how can those dwarf cannons see over?
Yes, that's right.
And you said it was simple line of sight. And it's just what people are used to in that respect. And, you know, it seems perhaps a bit blasé. You know, I'll walk up to the table and go, yeah, he's right. And the other guy is just like, it's so alien to him, he doesn't understand.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel sorry for people like that, but unfortunately that is the beast of the ETC.
Definitely.
That's certainly one of the things I've noticed about the weekend. A lot more people are questioning where in the book, where in the FAQ. Instead of just taking the referee's decision on it, they're like, are you sure? And you're like, well, yeah, and then you prove to them. But it's more people seem to be this weekend needing that proof than in a lot of other events I've refed in the past.
Do you, be honest now, do you take that as a little bit of an offence that they're not trusting your opinion, or is it just really for their own peace of mind and actually it's nothing about you?
I mean, when I referee, I would always try and show the player where the rule is, purely because I like to try and get people to do the rules themselves, you know. And if people could get in the habit of every time a dispute comes up, I'll just ask Gareth. So, well, no, most of these rules are in the rule book or in the FAQ. There's actually very few that we actually need to think about it. Now, most of the time, you know, it may actually be, you know, getting rid of the illusion of how great we are. But
pat yourself on the back.
Well, but a lot of the time we just flip through the books and go, well, yeah, it's on this page. And I think a lot of it, you know, is education. And if I can actually show someone, look, it is in the rule book, it will give them more confidence that, you know, it's not necessarily that I know the rules; it's I know where to find them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can flip open the page and go, it's in that paragraph, I think it's not so much people haven't got confidence in the referees. You know,
there's a lot of people, yeah, I agree with that. I think I found more people have been playing it a certain way for so long that when you tell them it's wrong, they're like, really? Can you show me why it's wrong? Where a lot of time questions are just they've misinterpreted something or they've not read it properly. And I know when we ran one of the winter incursions and also Call to War, it was a case of, if I knew it was in the rule book somewhere, I would not answer a question for them. I'd say it's in the rule book, go and read it yourself. And then if you can't find the question, come to me and I'll
Okay.
answer it for you, because that way they look at it themselves.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you do get a lot of rule book or army book questions and you just haven't read it properly.
Maybe it could be due to time and ease that it's a ref.
You
Yeah.
do find, I mean, I find in games it is sometimes quicker than when you and your opponent know the rule one way and you have to look it up, you know where it is, asking someone, do you know where this is in the book? And
Yeah.
a lot of people will know where it is. If you ask the right person, if it's against their chosen army, say for instance, you could like lizards, you could take a jack, whereabouts is this bit in the lizard?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
he'd give you the page number pretty much off the top of his head, where I know it's somewhere, but I'd have to look through the book to find it. And
I love these people, page number and verse. It's like they know the Bible backwards.
I think, sorry, I was going to say, I think the other good thing as well is that, you know, that there are well-respected people in the community, and, you know, like Mr. Johnson, Mr. Curry. You know, this weekend I have been abusing Mr. Heenan quite badly.
Have you? Nice.
Yeah, well, he's been smiling. That's all right.
Oh, that's all right then.
But you know, if I get asked a rules query and I don't know it straight away, you know, I'll turn around to an experienced player and say, you know, what's your interpretation on this? And you know, and Dan's very good at like the ETC ruling, certainly. You know, been helping out with little bits and bobs with that.
That's good. Now, have there been any other really interesting rules queries that you've had? Give us some of the most interesting ones. Not mention any names.
I don't think there's necessarily any major interesting ones. There's been some highlighting points that I'd not thought about, which is always what I like about it. You do find things that you've never thought about, like, for instance, the scroll of shielding. Because I never take it, and I haven't used it in a long time, I'd never reread it properly since whenever I must have originally read it, and the question came up, if you cast, say, Curse of Years spell, which remains in play spell, do you get the 4+ ward every turn against it? And according to the writing of the actual item, you do, because it's against that specific spell, and that specific spell is still in place, you still get your water, which I hadn't actually ever considered, because I've never used it. But it's actually quite a cool little thing, and it's little things like that you come across, so that's the biggest one off the top of my head. But
Okay, fair enough. Now, that was a mistake, obviously. You hadn't come into terms with that. People do make mistakes at these tournaments. So what I just want to talk about is how you guys have to deal with that. There's been an issue, obviously mentioning no names, where someone has had a dice that they didn't know, rightly or wrongly, that had, you know, you can get dice with 6s are usually pictorial dices. Yeah. There happened to be one dice in this game that was discovered towards the end that had the pictorial image on a 1 as opposed to a 6. Now, I've heard what's gone on from both sides, and I know that a certain person is upset about it, but you've had to make a ruling. Can you just talk us through that ruling and why it was the right or wrong thing to do?
Well, basically what's happened in the game, I mean, like for me myself, I have a lot of dice where I have the logos on the 6 side. And at the start of the game, for me personally, whenever I play, I always say to my opponent, any dice I roll, the logo's a 6.
Yeah.
And
you actually say that to your opponent?
I always tell my opponents, you need a rules query?
No.
Okay.
That's really hard.
So basically, in this game, I believe the person concerned who was losing, he's got fed up with his dice and he's gone to roll his opponent's dice. When he's gone to roll one of his opponent's dice, he's realised the logo is actually on the 1 side and kind of dismissed it and put it away. And then his opponent's now picked up these dice, rolled them, the logo's come up, and that's where he's gone, well actually that's a 1, not a 6. Now, because that's happened, it was kind of, well, however many times has this happened in the game? And I wouldn't say it was deliberate, and you know, I'm not going to suggest that he was in the same vein as loaded dice, but you know, there's that certain element of doubt about what's actually happened in that game. Unfortunately, you know, we have to take quite a strong stance in a way on this, and as it was, we actually overturned the result of that game. So the person that had the incorrectly marked dice, shall we say, who had won, ended up losing that game purely because you couldn't guarantee the validity of that result. It's a harsh decision, but equally it's a tournament, you know. I mean, I suppose if it's a friendly game between 2 guys, you would probably have a laugh, chuck the dice away and, you know, just carry on.
I mean, two things popped into my head, because obviously I know both opponents here, that if this person hadn't have lost as ferociously as they did, would they have actually brought this up? Why was it not talked about when it was known during the game? Because if he did see it during it, why did he not go, this is a 1 then? I'm just posing questions as, you know, as I see it. And if it was an actual mistake, could it not have been slightly lenient? Maybe you've given him a 50-50 score, so they had a 10-10. Now, you said, quite rightly so, that you don't know if that had been used for, like, spells, if that had been used for leadership break tests and things like that. It could have drastically altered it. Do you think it could have affected it so much to be a 20-0 each way? What do you think, guys?
Could potentially, because you don't know when that dice has been used. I mean, as you say, it's probably most likely not malicious at all in the 10. It's just been an accidental dice in his path, but he's not noticed it. But the problem is, when was it used? Neither player can say. I don't think they noticed it till towards the end of the game, and I know they just, because it went more or less the end, that's why they didn't discuss it then, I don't think. And then they came to us at the end to have a word with us about it, and we had to come to a decision because they brought the question to us. And as you can't say, well, they didn't use that dice for rolling magic, for instance, or rolling a ward save. You don't know if they were crucial ones, you don't know when. So it's only fair, the only option you've really got is to overturn the entire result of the game and flip it on its head to a 20-0, because it's the only fair result you can give your opponent, because you can't say what changed what.
No, absolutely.
I think that's, the way you've got to look at it is you've got the two extremes, really, which is it's a win to one side or a win to the other side. Because as soon as you start saying, well, we'll make it a draw, it's like, well, why did you make it a draw? You know, I think it gets a lot harder. We were discussing this about painting scores. You know, what levels do you penalise people, or do you just have it's either correct or it's not correct?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's a lot easier if you just say, if you're wrong, you know, we overturn the result. And it may be an honest mistake, well, it probably is an honest mistake, if I'm honest, you know, knowing the players involved. And actually, the captain of the team that's had the result against him is actually taken it very well, and you know, and came up and said, no, he understands.
Which I think is really, really nice, and you're right, it's a team event. It's slightly different than normal tournaments within the UK, because it's not just a one-on-one thing. You've got a lot of other people. It is competitive as well. So I understand, and people need to adhere to your ruling, I suppose, because it's your tournament at the end of the day.
I mean, although it's a 40-point swing from a 19-1 win to a 20-0 loss, the way the cap system works, it was only a 3-point difference.
Okay.
So actually, in the final standings, it shouldn't have a lot of impact. Maybe a place or two.
Fair enough.
And if anything, if players, you know, watching this interview and hearing about this story, think I'm being hard, perhaps it will make them think, well, actually, perhaps I should go and check my dice. And, you know, and if people, if people expect me to be strict when I referee, then, you know, they'll plan for that, you know, rather than if I'm not, you know, always strict, or, you know, following the letter of the law and doing the sort of punishments, you know, I think people have less respect for you, because, you know, I might rule against Will one day. Oh, don't worry, Will, you know, you can just have a couple of point penalty. Oh no, so that's a 20-0 loss over there. So I think, you know, you have to be consistent, and I think, you know, if I had anything like this where, all right, honest mistake, but potentially a game-changing, you know, error, then I think, you know, you've got to swing it. I mean, I have heard of people who've been found to have crooked dice or loaded dice, but they have no knowledge of it. Now, I don't know how.
There's been famous cases on our scene of that at certain big events as well, so it is known.